Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Market, where each day we discuss all things to do with the market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, and how to make some or a lot of money on the internet. Loaded up for discussion today. We have Circle retracing down to $222 when I looked at it last, down from highs yesterday around 300. We'll talk about that, all the other IPOs, and some general portfolio conversations today on a little bit of a quieter news day. We've got Sharplink Gaming purchasing another 12,200 ETH for around $30 million, taking their total ETH holdings to 188,000 ETH. And we've got Ledger announcing NBA sports jersey sponsorship of the San Antonio Spurs. I think that's pretty cool. So we'll touch on that on the commercial side too. We've also got the latest on price action of crypto and NFTs, plus a general discussion on what we think is going on. Delighted to say I've got Legendary and Bread in the co-host seats with me today. We are ready to get into it. Just a reminder before we do, as usual, nothing that we say here on this show or anywhere else actually is financial advice. The market is very risky. We don't know anything for sure, so please proceed with caution and exercise your own judgment. With that out of the way, Legendary, it's Wednesday. It's the 25th of June. Another bright shirt you've got on the attire today. What's going on?
Yeah, GM. I got this nice Villebrequin beach ready shirt, basically. I had a lovely morning. What did I do? I did my...
Brad, you want to go for one of those pronunciations? Bread's busy at the moment, just sorting his... You want to have a go at that pronunciation? Oh, no. Don't worry. Keep going.
No. No shot.
Say it again, Ledge.
Villebrequin?
Okay. I accept.
Alrighty. What did I do this morning? Another oxygen therapy session, my interval training. Then I did a little bit of golf shopping again. Okay. Was looking for a putter, but ended up buying a couple of golf polo shirts. And I think I know what putter I want now. But it's a Scotty Cameron one, but I didn't have the exact one that I wanted. So okay. I need to find another place to test that.
It's pretty fun. Sounds very fun. One thing that has definitely happened in the last few days is we've started to talk about Modern Market trailer. We're going to get a video trailer done as part of some stuff we're working on in the background. And we're kind of coming to the conclusion now that we can spend indiscriminate amounts just on our brand. Like if we're going to have a trailer and we're going to have to like wear particular things, I think like we can loosen the purse strings here and just start spending indiscriminately on things which we want to present ourselves as, even if that's not actually ourselves. Legendary, is that what's happening here?
Yeah, the thumbnail for the show that we used today has me in the denim jacket, which is was a limited like Louis Vuitton NBA collection, and I would have been able to actually flip the jacket for like a couple grand more. But now that we're building the brand and we do the video and the trailer, I might have to keep it, not because I want to keep it. I just have to do it for the brand.
I think, yeah, I mean, maybe there's going to all kinds of spending that's going to have to happen now as a consequence of this brand building. I don't know why we're only turning it on now.
Building will lead to massive lifestyle inflation.
Yeah. that sounds like what's going to happen. Diablito in the X comments saying, ready when you are, Legendary. Again, talking of lifestyle inflation, 2 photos of let me just share this. 2 photos of 2 polo players on some beautiful stallions. I don't know if they're actually stallions. I don't know anything about horses, but there you go. Talking of lifestyle inflation, that is one option for us, for the brand, if we're going to be pivoting into polo sometime soon. Brad, how are you doing, my man? I know you're in New York. First thoughts on this brand expenditure. Do you have any expenses that you want to be putting in? And then how's New York going?
Yeah, this one will be easy for me because I'm a low class individual. Just give me some athleisure, like some Viore or something, comfy shit, and I'm good
expensive
to go.
Though as well.
I mean, it's like $100 for some joggers.
Basic t-shirt. Yeah, I mean, I love my Viore stuff as well, but it's still hella expensive to pay $100 to on the what is it?
I mean, it's a $1,000 jean jacket. I didn't even know those things existed.
There you go.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay.
So, to address the rest of it. So like, yeah, like I'm if people are on the live stream, they're seeing I'm like in a hotel room, just this little shoddy thing. I literally have a giant TV. I'm touching it right now just to give you guys perspective on how close I am to this thing.
Nice.
It's like 3 feet in my face. Yeah, so like I'm on the road, we're at permissionless, we're meeting, we're greeting, we're shaking hands, trying to see what's going on. I actually have met some people that I was not expecting to meet, like James Seyfert from is it the ETF
Bloomberg.
guy? I don't know. Yeah. Oh yeah, Bloomberg. Yeah. He talks about Bloomberg. So yeah, I met him. Like we talked a little bit. He had some alpha on like how some of these ETFs that are coming to market, and he's like, bro, these like he's expecting like within the next 6 months, we're extending well beyond even like the XRPs and like the first like 5 that we're talking about. Like, oh, like there's gonna be like the next wave, like Litecoin XRPs. Like, no, man, we're gonna see like Avalanche. We're going to see like all the way down like the top 25 of NFT or ETFs coming. So that was kind of cool to talk about, and then just shaking hands with other people.
That's very, very interesting. Okay, so did he have any specific thought on that? Like, was there a qualitative assessment there on like, is that good? Is it bad? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, like he's just like it's the natural progression of this stuff, right? It's just that like, yeah, we're going to continue to go down the back. I was more curious about like the staking ETFs or just like these leveraged positions. It's like, okay, well, like the logical progression is okay, we get ETFs, then okay, we need productive ETFs. They're going to do staking ETFs, and I was like, well, like what's to stop people from going one step further and generating yield in other ways, like doing a vault style ETF? And he's like, yeah, he's like, that's totally coming. We'll have like DeFi positions as ETFs. Here soon. It's gonna not soon. Like he was predicting like probably the next year for something like that. But the acceleration is only going to keep going.
Exciting. Very, very interesting. Okay. Well, let's catch up more on New York in a second. Let's get people up to speed. Oh, actually, Funky, your hand is raised. Welcome to the stage, my man. One take here before we get into
Speaking of people that we got to hang out with yesterday.
I heard.
Hey, don't listen to the carbophobes. Bread is very good for you, especially when you have in-person bread. And he got to meet David yesterday. We had a good time just chatting, hanging out for a couple minutes while we're sweating profusely in the heat
because
it's
soggy.
hot in New York at permissionless. So maybe you missed it for reason B.
I heard it. You guys have 100 degrees in New York. That's absurd.
It's insane. It was literally, I got on the plane and the pilot's like, oh, it's going to be 95. I look at my watch. I'm like, that's hotter than here in Tampa. And I'm 1,400 miles south. It was crazy. It's super hot. But yeah, going to go to Fern's thing tonight. Eat some good pizza.
Good stuff. Very jealous. Wish I could have been there. We will have to run it back another time. I think that's the objective. Right, let's get into it, and we'll catch up a little bit more on New York in a second for some on-the-ground takes. But starting with the price action, as usual, to get you up to speed with everything that is going on in the market. My voice is something strange is going on. 1 second. Hello. Okay, there we go. Bitcoin is up almost 2% to $106,000. ETH is flat. 2.4K. 2.4K. That's how much ETH is worth.
420 though, so we should take note of that.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. XRP is flat as well at $2.20. BNB is up 1% at $645. Solana is up 1% to $147. Getting into our other favorite alt majors, Hyperliquid is up almost 4%, back to around $38, and Sui is flat at $2.80.
What is going on with Bitcoin Cash? Why has it flipped Sui?
Did it happen again?
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
This is the indicator. We were talking about this. Was it Monday or last week? Like this is the scary thing that David was mentioning.
Yeah, Bitcoin Cash keeps going up. I mean, it's not that hugely far up on the week, but yeah, it has flipped Sui. Well, I guess kind of Sui's bled out a little bit, but it's not great when Bitcoin Cash is going up.
Can we all right? This is like kind of an aside. Every conference I go to, there is a Doge person that wears all like full Doge clothes. And like yesterday I saw a Zcash Tesla truck and like all these like side ridiculous chains that just like get people incredibly wealthy. Then they just show up at these conferences and flex it. It's just this industry.
Do we like that?
I have nothing to add outside of that. I imagine I'm going to see a Bitcoin Cash person at some point today. Is kind of what made me think of this.
Yeah, the price brings them out, right? They'll be feeling confident today, I suspect.
I saw a Zcash truck roll up yesterday, like a cyber truck with Zcash on it. I mean, world, who knows where this is going?
I like it. I like it.
It's cheap marketing after all, and we speak about it.
Indeed. Okay, on the meme coin side of things, Doge is up 1%, not making anyone rich today. Pepe is up 1% as well. Trump's down 2%. SPX is up 7%. Bonk is flat. Fartcoin is up 4%. Pengu is down 1%. Doge is up 1%. Bit of up and down, to be honest here. Nothing really to write home about, I don't think. Trying to find something to write home about. Bananas for scale, up 38%. I don't know what that is. That seems to be a big mover. I'm not going to dive into it now. I don't know what's going on there. And that's that on the meme coin side of things. Getting into the headlines themselves, which we will be diving into in a bit more detail shortly. Circle is retracing 15% down to 222, although the highs yesterday was pushing towards 300. We'll talk about that in general portfolio chat today. It's nice to catch up on the portfolio chats. Talk about our general strategies for the next couple of months. Sharplink Gaming purchases another 12.2k of ETH for around $30 million. Bred's going to just explain what's going on there. And then finally, Ledger announced NBA sports jersey sponsorship of San Antonio Spurs. I thought that was cool on the commercial side. Bit of a slower day, so we'll dig into some of those commercials towards the end of the show. Ledge, is there anything? Oh, this is a notable price action. Newt airdropped with Kaito support yesterday to a lot of Kaito yappers or stakers. It traded as high as 700 mil FDV before a retrace to around 450. Some notable yappers got as much as $15,000 worth of Newt. Even if you were staking, you got a few $100. So not a bad one. That was a pretty decent one for people, all things considered. Say is also up 8% on the day, plus 77% on the week to $3 billion FTV. I thought that one was kind of strange. I haven't heard any news out of Say, but I think that's important to note for people who are interested. With that out of the way, Ledge, anything to note on the NFT side?
Yeah, before I get to that, we are slashing on Ethos network. We are slashing the founders who are doing the airdrops via Kato. I think it was Humanity Protocol as well. It's the team behind Newt as well, who's being slashed. I find this interesting as a development that people. I mean,
dude, this is really interesting. Imagine what every time there's an airdrop and you don't like what you got, you're just gonna go and slash people.
Yeah, and then basically you wait how the airdrop turns out, and then you're gonna slash people. I mean, in this case, there's a bit more to that. But the slash sees massive support. I think 99% are voting in favor of that. Only 1% is defending the slashing action. But it's an interesting development. I think the slashing is what I really start to like more and more about Ethos, because it always gets on the timeline, it always gets attention, and it shows you the other side of what's going on, whether it's like correct or not. You just get an additional perspective presented very, very publicly.
An interesting part of that is two examples now, because you know how first lots of these protocols have integrated Kaito, right? Everyone knows that you want to try and leverage your top yappers, so you know maybe you throw some percentage of tokens towards Kaito users or stakers or yappers, and that's been integrated. The first two examples, I believe, are being discussed for Ethos. One is this. I don't think this is confirmed in any way, but I saw Kobe actually responding to some questions or thoughts as to whether maybe people who have a higher Ethos score could potentially invest or get some kind of preference on Echo, which is the private investment platform that he's built. I don't necessarily know if that will go forward, but it was interesting to see that debate taking place. And then secondarily, Legendary, you're advising monsters.fun on Abstract. I think I saw them integrate Ethos scores into their launch in some way. Is that true?
This is correct. If you have a high Ethos score, you can claim more bonus points for the game. Yep, this is one of the things that gets rewarded, which I very much like.
Very interesting.
Cerebro too, the portfolio.
Oh yes, that was the other one. Cerebro being the portfolio management tool. They didn't say exactly how though, right, Brad? They just said it's going to be integrated into the go-to-market.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and the product itself is actually still pretty early, so not a lot of people have got to play with it. I got in like one of the early releases, so I got to play around. It actually is really intuitive. It's really good. But I don't know how it's integrated yet.
Yeah, I like it as well. And yeah, just interesting to note. So like we're definitely picking up on that trend early here. And look, to the
How
extent
does
that
that
you
drive
think
value to Ethos though? Right? Like this is all good. Like it's being used. Is this like a enterprise partnership thing? Like, are they going to get paid? Like, hope to go business to business, and then like don't have to worry about monetizing users, kind of like Kaido. I don't know. Because I want the airdrop, right? Like I'm positioned. I have a validator. I like, I participate on the actual thing. So like we're doing that stuff. So like, how do you value the thing? And it's being used. Awesome. But right now they're burning through money to provide this service for everyone. Like who's paying for it, right?
yes, I think maybe spinning up. I wonder whether I've seen SERP kind of sharing more leaderboards and more bespoke leaderboards, whether there's a way to spin up leaderboards for people on Ethos and run the Kaito model and then get paid for the leaderboard. I'm not 100% sure. I do think in some way, even though I think it's the correct question, like, right, how do you, where does the value accrue here? How do
How do you
they
monetize
monetize off of it?
Yeah.
Say again?
Yeah. How do you monetize it? Yeah, that's the question. That's always the hard part.
Yeah, but I think they're one step ahead of other people who can't even get the fit, you know. So I think it's still a positive.
For sure. If people are leveraging it, right? Yeah, they're going distribution now. Same thing with Uber, right? Uber started off early. They subsidized everything. Everything was super fucking cheap. They were burning through cash for years to get like into a bunch of markets. And then all of a sudden now they have to like, okay, we have to start charging you for this once people are used to it and they're actually like implementing it and stuff. So imagine SERP being from Silicon Valley. Like that's his whole thing. He's probably running a similar playbook, right? Get distribution, get out there in front of people, find PMF, and then you can start trying to charge maybe these protocols for access to the API or something.
Exactly. I think that would be the kind of philosophy there. A couple other comments in YouTube and on actually both on X. I think Carpenter said Monsters Fun also integrated Fantasy Top Clout Mindshare engine into their Battle Point earning feature. That's interesting to note. And then Mackie in the comments said rumors swirling about Kaito potentially using Ethos as a new layer to their algo. I actually think that would be super wise.
So much, yeah.
It's super wise because we've said here before, and when we spoke to SERP as well, these things are not competing. They're complementary. Like you want to know how great people yap, and you want to know behind the scenes, do they have a fantastic reputation in addition? So I think that would be quite wise and could be a way to figure out some kind of commercial partnership there. Oxy, your hand is raised. Before we get into the rest of the roundup, what's your contribution here, man?
Yeah, I was just gonna say what the commenter said, that you who tweeted yesterday. On this note, we were thinking about incorporating opt-in on-chain reputation to further filter out AI slot bots. And ICO Beast made a comment that he thought it was Ethos. So that'd be really interesting, really cool.
Yeah, because the one huge criticism leveled at Kaito, right, which is too much slop, too many farmers, too many people. It's like, well, it'd be very, very hard to fake your reputation. I mean, maybe I'm sure someone will then go and try to do that if that was the requirement.
People are gaming it. Yeah, like there's, but like I'm confident that because SERP comes from the school of friend tech, where we saw a lot of the 3-3 stuff, where people were spinning up like explicit farms to like all work together to all boost each other's shit. Like he's aware of that stuff, and he was very much in the camp of nuke these things from orbit. And I think he will work diligently to try to root those things out whenever they take place on the platform. And he has run into it a few cases, like he's done it publicly, talked about these like groups of people that come on the platform, all like are self-referential and spin up and get high ethos scores. So like he's aware of it, and he's addressing it. Whether you can keep up with it is the next question.
He vibe coded a tool for that. Let me bring that up on screen. That shows the review farming leaderboard, which basically looks at mutual reviews, the like time distance when it happens. So I review Brad reviews me back like 3 minutes later, and build this review for review and risk level score that's exactly looking at that. And it's pretty sick that you can vibe code that.
Interesting. Yeah, really, really helpful. We'll keep an
But
eye
you
out.
just randomize it, right? Like that. All these things are AI. Like you go, they have entire websites you go to and you put in a profile and it'll auto generate a review for you. And then you just copy paste it into the thing. It's like there's people that are doing the farms of like, that's the click, go generate the review for free and then go and just drop it on the thing. And then like, that's how you do it. And then once you start seeing stuff like this, like, oh, they're gauging like time to reviews. It's like, okay, like let's just add randomness to our farming, right? Like the metric is known now. So it's like, I'll just do it every hour or 5 hours or a day, 7 days. Like you can still do it. It just makes it tougher.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So we'll keep an eye out there. Definitely an interesting trend to keep an eye on for sure. Glad we articulated that here today. Ledge, anything going on the NFT side we need to know?
Yep. Give me 1 sec to go back to that tab. Pattern continues. Art is doing well. Another big XCOP siphon sell for 30 ETH. Tyler Hobbs Fidenza did sell for 26 ETH. I do think that this one sold into a bid. And then on the NFT majors, yes, we are still a bit green for some of them over the week. Pudgy's up 5% over the week, up another 2% to 9.5 ETH. Bazookies are doing the opposite, down 2%, down 3% over the week. Bored Apes are basically flat over the last day and down 4% over the week. So not too much really going on in the major collections.
Good stuff. Okay. So that's the NFT side. Getting into the rest of the roundup, which will help get up to speed. Polymarket reportedly raising $200 million at a valuation over $1 billion. That was from, I can't remember the source now. I think it's called The Information. Fed Chair Powell gives banks the go-ahead to conduct crypto activity, said banks are free to conduct crypto activities in line with general kind of sentiment in the States now. Metaplanet raised $510 million to buy more Bitcoin, and Robinhood CEO Vlad Tenev on CNBC explains how he thinks crypto will replace traditional finance. That was an interesting little clip that was circulating. Trump's Truth Social files for Bitcoin and ETH ETF with the NYSE. And NFT lending platform Gondi announces a new version, full stack liquidity solution for NFTs. It's not just a lending platform anymore. You can collect, sell, and borrow and lend. As I said before, certain Kaito creators were dropped $15,000 by Magic Newton yesterday. Coinbase revealed its key role in helping US Secret Service seal $225 million in stolen crypto. As you guys just mentioned, Cerebro Portfolio Management announces an integration with Ethos as part of its GTM to surface high signal quality users. And then finally, Infinex announces multiple passkeys, permitting other devices access to your Infinex account. So I was kind of curious for that. If you're thinking about it from a multi-sig style perspective, to have multiple access points would be helpful. And that's it. Oh, one other thing on the social side, Orderly announced revenue share from perp trading for orderly yappers. I haven't seen that before. That was kind of an interesting shift, right? Because at the moment, everyone's always incentivizing with supply of the token itself, and you get revenue share. Like that's kind of interesting. But that's the roundup to get everyone up to speed. Just a quick roundup here, guys, of what we think is interesting here. Maybe Bread first, then Ledge. Anything catching your attention here? Bread, don't know if you want to speak more to what's going on in New York and what else?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot going on. I mean, like, yes, it's interesting to talk to people, but it's a lot of BD and just like general event stuff. Blockworks released some, like, for nerds out there, some new data metrics that they're trying to do. Like quality active addresses was a thing that they announced, which is they are taking on-chain addresses, and like active addresses doesn't work, right? You can spin up a script that's just going to have 1,000 or 100,000 bots that does a bunch of shit for nothing. So like they're trying to analyze the data and actually come up with cohorts or like user profiles that are associated to these addresses, so you can see like who LRT farmers are, who like whatever, and like come up with this like a quality score based on all these actual addresses, so you can see what's going on. So there's that. But from the actual headlines, the thing that I was interested in is you called out Circle going down. I've actually been watching. Coin has finally caught the bid, so I'm wondering if the market's wisening up to the actual distribution there. It's up to 340 on the day, and I have someone on my timeline who's actually just watching the ratio of Circle to Coin, and it's been running the last few days. So I wonder if there's a little bit of a flow there.
I like
And
it.
then another one, just coins we're watching. I was looking at Kaido to see how it's working on Pendle. Still back up to like 70% APY.
Nice. Are you still in the Pendle one? Brad, can you hear me? Nope.
Yeah, I think I'm getting some lag. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Don't worry. Good that you brought up the Circle retrace, maybe with coin going up. Let's just get into the first headline then, which is about Circle. Ledge, maybe you can take us through a bit of a general macro view here as well, and maybe compare it to coin. We've been talking about this how Circle is kind of overvalued versus coin. What are your thoughts here? What do we need to know?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start by taking a look at the Circle stock. As you have pointed out, it did run as high as almost $300 a couple days earlier. Yesterday, we did go down 15.5% to $222. Pre-market, however, is up again a bit, is at 230. And Brett is absolutely right to point out that Coinbase is up on the day, up 12%, up on the pre-market, up another 3%. Up even more over the last 5 days, up 32%. So there might be some shift into Coinbase. We had that question yesterday, I think it was, if I were to basically put my Circle profits into Coinbase. I still don't know about that. I still think we're going to see a lot of volatility with Circle. So it's not a trade for me. It's probably a very good trade for the people who caught it, but I'm still wanting to see how this is playing out. However, going away from just those individual stocks and taking a look at the broader market, that is the S&P 500, I think that we sometimes maybe forget how close to all-time high we are. S&P 500 is at 6,092, and it's within a 1% range from its all-time high, which it had hit on February 19th earlier this year. So the stock market is looking excellent. Also taking a look at Finviz, we can basically see green throughout almost all of the sectors, with the exception of oil and gas, where we have the leading companies being down a bit. Moving on to another asset class, moving on to gold. Gold is also doing pretty well. Yes, it did go down a bit after it had peaked even more with the more intense Iran-Israel conflict. But nonetheless, it's up another 0.2% on the day. It's up another 0.5% over the last 30 days. So that is looking very, very well too. And if we combine that with some more macro-related data, it's no surprise probably that the polymarket bet, which I'm sharing on screen, US recession in 2025, which now has almost $8 million in volume, is constantly going down. In May, the market thought, or 64% of the market thought, that there's going to be a recession in 2025. Now the chance is down to 25%. And then if we take a look at rate cuts, the market still thinks that rate cuts are not really likely in July. 80% chance of no change in July. However, if we look,
there's a big move in this one.
I think there was a big move, but it did correct down. Was it for this one? No, not really. However, I think the market that moved more, if I'm not mistaken, is this one. Yes, it's the Fed decision in September, where now more than half of the market, 54% think there's going to be a 25 bips decrease, 5% think there's going to be a 50 bips decrease. And that was just a couple of days ago at 37%. So that has moved up significantly. Yeah.
Okay. Something I'm thinking about, Ledge. Thanks for the summary. That's very helpful. Out of all of the things that you went to there, the thing that I was maybe looking at most is rate cuts, and just trying to, and the other thing that stood out to me was you said, the stock market's at all-time highs. I do agree with you that people kind of forget that in some way. But you said it was like excellent or very good. Obviously, when prices are up, it feels good, but it almost makes me feel like the risk reward is lower. It's not as helpful that we're so close to the top, because I guess there's still some uncertainty, but the thing which gives me a bit more confidence that we can push through sooner rather than later Although I'll caveat this, we were talking the other day, Ledge, about like summer's a long summer. I think people like are adding up all of these things and thinking, right, okay, cool. So we can just, maybe it's going to be this week. Maybe it's going to be this week. It's like, it's just middle to the end of June, still July to go, still August to go. That's 60 days. And so I don't know if things can blast through, is what I'm saying, in the way that people would want immediately. But the rate cut expectations is the thing which gives me a bit of confidence. What's your kind of view in that respect? Like, the rate cuts should be coming in towards the end of at some point soon. Is my thinking.
I can answer this maybe from a personal portfolio perspective.
Yeah, whatever way you want.
What I've been thinking more as a result of that, yes, markets are at all-time high. If you get the more bullish analysts, they are still calling for another 10% for the S&P 500 to go. BMO thinks it could go to like 6.7K. So bullish analysts still see a lot of room for movement. But I realized that we spoke a lot through our portfolio updates over the last couple of months. And we spoke how we allocated capital, and I converted even some stables back into working capital, into chips to put into the casino, or even keep them in stables but place them in significant size and stuff like plasma. And now we had this conversation a couple of days ago, I think it was, where we were like, yeah, what do we do with the dip, the Middle East? I'm like, did you buy the dip? No, I didn't, because I'm actually fully allocated in hyperliquid and all the things I want to farm and I want to use. And you painted a similar picture for your portfolio. And I just think that this like very headline driven news or very Trump driven markets will continue. And I don't have a bag ready for that. So basically just need to free up a very good amount of capital to put it in two pockets, one for spot, one for a bit more leverage trading, and just be ready to trade those news. For example, if you look at the ceasefire, that was announced on Truth Social by Trump at a time when neither Iran nor Israel had confirmed that this is a thing. But you had plenty of time to buy ETH, buy whatever you want to buy, and what your hypothesis is. If this is true, it will go up. And inversely, you had situations where Trump posts or negotiations, like the tariffs, caused like short-term panic or anxiety in the market. And I've been like basically sitting those swing trading opportunities out. And I just want to free up, again, a significant amount of cash to A, be swing trading with spot, and B, also play around with some more leverage while still maintaining the farming positions that I have. So I'm not going to pull out money off liminal. My money, other money is going to stay in plasma. Working capital is going to continue to work in hyperliquid. So the only thing that I can do is yet again go back to my stable pile that I built in January, where I was like roughly 80% in stables, and just take another chunk out of that and use it for the political swing trading, because I don't want to do it with all of my portfolio. I don't want to be like, every time something happens, sell my entire hype stack and buy back into it. It's just not my way of trading, because I might miss the follow-up news. But I want to have a smaller relatively to my total portfolio size, but still pretty significant, I'd say, back that I use for more active swing trades.
Okay. Well, so what I'm hearing here is allocated because generally bullish on the things which you have allocated towards, probably significant amount in hype and Bitcoin, and I think that's and some other alts maybe that you like, but lacking some extra funds to take advantage of what we have called, maybe other people have called as well, just the president's market. Like, Trump is just continuously moving markets all the time. And to be fair, like, events are moving markets too, but he's leading the dissemination of information about those events. So I would still put it in that way. You mentioned a couple of farming things. Like if you were short, okay, how do we? If you were short on capital and wanted to unlock some, this is the way that I would do it at the moment. I put this tweet out this morning. I've spoken about it before as well, though. I said two things. One, if you're farming anything in particular, you do not need to lose money ever. Basically, right now on Hyperliquid, I'm reading from the tweet this morning. You can go to my profile to see it if you'd like. Right now on Hyperliquid, you can borrow against Bitcoin for USDT on Felix at 5.8%, and then you can lend those dollars right out as USDT also on Felix for 6%, or you can convert it to USDE to lend at 7%. So you're actually making money while participating in the Hyperliquid ecosystem. You're making money whilst earning Felix points, and you're making money whilst using your Bitcoin, which has been brought over to Hyperliquid by Unit. So maybe there's some kind of exposure there. And worst case scenario here, or not a worst case scenario, but an alternative route here is, say you don't want to make that money because that's too conservative for you, but you do want to put those, you want to unlock capital to take some risk elsewhere. That's pretty decent to be able to borrow against Bitcoin for around that rate at the moment. Just to show you the images here, you can see here borrowing against Bitcoin is 5.8 to get USDT 0. And then, yeah, you can literally just lend it straight back in for more than 6%. So
maybe you want to explain how to get those lower rates on use Felix, because when I did my first loan, I was paying like a way higher rate, and you told me there's like 2 types of markets.
Yeah. So, okay. So the important thing here for anyone who's maybe a beginner, or even if you're not a beginner, to be honest, is just to understand there's different markets available on Felix. They have their own stablecoin
Screen. There we go.
Which is Felix USD, FEUSD. And if you're borrowing against that, if you're borrowing against Bitcoin for Felix USD, the rate is much higher. You can actually play with the rate a little bit, but this is like an over collateralized stablecoin. So that's different. But if you go to the vanilla borrowing, which is basically like the traditional borrowing section, that's where you can get the more routine, like, okay, I'm going to put this much Bitcoin. This is what the rate's going to be. It's obviously going to be variable, but you can unlock it in that way. So very important distinction. Vanilla is classic borrowing. What's the section called there, Ledge? The Felix one?
The
CEDP, yeah. But interestingly, before we move on, we are going to be having Riaz on from Felix tomorrow. So we've got Felix on the show tomorrow because I think they're one of the best protocols on Hyperliquid. I've been using it a lot, and we wanted to chat. So delighted to say we're going to have Felix on the show so we can talk more about some of those nuances and these opportunities there. So that is that. Brad, coming to you here.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you're not, like, just something to note. Even though you're not paying in literal fees for that, there is a cost to doing these things, and that is typically in the risk you are taking on to assume the thing, right? Like, you getting into position with your BTC on a net new protocol on top of a net new chain, like with all of the risks that come with all that stuff. Like, so you're paying in risk as opposed to paying in literal capital. So like you're correct that you don't have to actually lose money to do it, but the potential to lose money is still there if something catastrophic were to happen with anything. Smart contract risk, all that stuff. So just like a disclaimer.
Always helpful. Yeah, smart contract risk is the biggest risk with all of these things. It's like, oh, great, the interest rate's good. Oh, but what if all of the money disappears because the smart contract gets hacked? Right. That is the game we play though. On chain, smart contract risk always exists. So definitely do bear that in mind. Wouldn't do it with all your Bitcoin, right, or all of your hype or whatever. So important to note that. Any reflections from you, Brett, on the portfolio side of things here? Kind of touched on general directional stuff, some opportunities. What are you thinking?
I haven't been active, although I am kind of in Legendary's book where I know I shouldn't. I told myself I always would avoid leverage, and now I'm playing with perps a little bit. So like it's going to be a volatile market. I think we've called that out. Like directionally, we all believe it's going to go up. I think directionally up, but still very volatile because, as he said, it's a Trump-led market, Trump tweet-led market more specifically. So yeah, I've been playing with that stuff, but honestly, the last few weeks it's been pretty passive for me.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like everyone got look. I believe in the summer. I believe in the power of the summer to make people be more lazy and want to chill more. So I just believe in it. So I think there's a little bit of that going on as well. But let's keep it moving. Got another couple of headlines to discuss today. Brad, update us on Sharplink Gaming. What do we need to know here as it relates
Look
to
at English coming
Bitcoin?
at us in the comments. He's saying 88 to 93 BTC in August. You animal.
Maybe.
But yeah,
I'm
we
actually
got.
open to
Yeah, man, not great. I just need the TradFi markets to go up. Actually, that's what. Now that we're talking about, like, I have been spending putting more attention into the TradFi markets. Like we've been calling IPOs recently as things to watch, but again, Hood, Circle, Coinbase, like all these things. Like our friend of the show, Darren. I mean, he hasn't been on the show for a while or at all, but like on another show that you and I did, BCheque, he has been calling out like he's totally out of crypto. He's like all of the action is in TradFi right now, and he's been doing that for the last 6 months. And it's like the numbers are really good.
just quickly on that, like I've been doing not a lot, but I've started to consume a lot more content on just the general energy and the energy for IPOs. At the moment, you mentioned Darren. I was watching the podcast he suggested the other day. I watched it in full. Really excellent analysis of just the health of public markets and private markets, and the trend that will be, or the expectation that there will be a lot more companies coming to market soon, and like what the kind of what the reception of those IPOs will be. And I do sense that there's an energy ready for that, basically. So I'm trying to prepare as well for that. So we've spoken about that before as well. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Take it away.
I'll swing on to the actual headline. So the headline itself is Sharplink Gaming purchases another 12.2K ETH for around 30 million, taking total ETH holdings to 188K. That's actually most of the actual announcement there. Again, the move builds up Sharplink's total position to just over 176,000 ETH, and totaling just under 500 million. The thing that was interesting in the article, it's like that was it. It's the second tranche that they bought. They sold off some shares, very similar to a MicroStrategy, but just for Ethereum. Two things to note on it. One is in the article, they call it the firm has actually placed 100% of the holdings into staking solutions, and it's earned them 120 ETH, or roughly $300,000 in price as of June 2nd. So I think it's interesting, and it like makes me wonder if having someone or a large entity come forward and show what can be done to make it a productive asset, like on top of just acquiring it, to earn it on top of earn it, will be appealing to the TradFi industry. Like they're not dumb, but like it is useful still to see these kinds of things where like these guys can say, yeah, we've purchased it. I mean, it's basically flat on price, but they've technically earned $300,000, right? So just because it's a productive asset, which you cannot get out of Bitcoin currently in the current form factor. So I'm wondering if that's going to take off, or be interesting to see that like as a demo, so that other people want to do a similar strategy or just like deploy productively. And then the second thing, which is kind of an aside, and ties it back to permissionless. I actually met someone yesterday that has been doing this thing with their company since December of last year. They've been purchasing a bunch of ETH and just doing the MicroStrategy stuff with ETH. And now they're to the point where they're doing this, and then they're taking it on chain to actually like double up the leverage and buy into like on chain ETH strategies to like basically layer it. So they're selling their company to buy the ETH strategy on chain, which is like a leverage position of it. So I don't know. It's just like there's more of this than we're aware of. Is what the takeaway is.
Okay, so I really like that kind of detail here. Ledge, a follow-on question on that, like what do we make of companies essentially becoming, I mean, what kind of behavior even is this? If they're a normal company running a business, then deciding that there's going to be this whole arm that conducts complex ETH strategies, what do we make of that?
I thought a bit more about that, and I was trying to see if I can come up with anything that compares to that. Even when we had the Inovia stuff, when you have like that company focused on, is it eye health?
Yeah, they were going to stake too. They aim to be one of the largest validators or stakers of the pipe.
And then like basically going out of the way to get exposure to crypto. I couldn't find or recall anything that is similar to that, which didn't really change my opinion on the fact that I think it's not a top signal yet. I think at some point it will be top-ish to see too many companies doing that. At least it has more substance than the name change hype that we went through with, was it like Long Island Iced Tea, whatever company that changed to Blockchain Iced Tea. I don't remember the exact company name change that happened like years and years ago. And the stock did go up 300%. At least there's like more substance to that because companies are committing funds. Still a potential black swan event in the future if one of the bigger ones blows up. But again, contrasting the companies who buy like just quote unquote just a couple $100 million BTC against the ETF inflows is nothing that is worrying me too much. Strategy is obviously the big one that's worrying, but strategy made its whole mission to do so. So going back to your question, I don't know. I don't have a good answer. I don't know what to make out of companies who suddenly find a new asset class and invest in. Ultimately, it's weird. It's bullish, kind of, but it's also weird.
Yeah. Okay. This is my take. I think it's ridiculous, to be honest, and I think it's incredibly short-term bear, but it's short-term bullish for the asset, incredibly bearish generally. Because this is my thinking. Abstract away the fact that they're buying crypto, right? It's basically corporate entities entering into markets and asset classes and just general business practices which they have no competence in. They are unfamiliar with. They are not good at it. They've demonstrated no competence. That is not what their business is about. Entering into this completely different universe and seemingly staking their whole company on it. Now, I think one challenge to that idea, which I'm just thinking about this stuff out loud, right? So let's see where I go with my thinking. One challenge to that would be, I can't even remember what I was going to say. Okay, so I think it's terrible. Is where I got to with the thinking.
I couldn't build a business now pivoting to something else that is risky, right?
That was actually my point. So arguably, the business was these businesses are not. My understanding is not super successful businesses anyway. They're kind of shell businesses, shell companies.
Zombie companies, I think.
Yeah. So there's nothing really to protect there. It's not like, oh wow, our business was so good. Why would you pivot and do this other thing? So that's not the case. So it's like, okay, well, in some respects, it doesn't matter that there was some other company. I just think it's all dumb. And I think when we look back on this period of time, we will look back at it and be like, right, this was kind of dumb. The only thing that makes sense is we've said this before, for a company which makes money to take a portion of that money and buy Bitcoin. Like that is the thing which makes most sense to me. That is what we do. That is the thing which makes most sense. And I think if I had to put a time frame on this, I think I'm going to get incredible energy in the stock market. You know, once the summer finishes, because we need this summer to finish, I think we'll have incredible energy in the stock market towards the end of the year. I think the crypto IPO stuff will go well. But that's where the energy will go. The energy will go to that stuff. So I think it's directionally correct to start looking at that market a bit more. And I do think there'll be a bit of a pump fund style activity for even the worst of the IPOs, where it might be helpful to flip. But then I'm thinking towards and this is literally just from this conversation, thinking out loud to be reconsidered as the next few months comes out. I'm thinking towards the end of the year, looking to get out of some significant positions, to be honest. I need to reassess that, obviously, as time goes on. But I just think this is actually ludicrous. I think it's kind of ridiculous. That's just like the instinctive feeling I had just from this conversation today. Laj, how do you respond?
If I had to take the other side, then I would probably look at something like companies holding US treasuries as a reserve and then like maybe switching into BTC. And if the thinking really is that this is the future of finance, then why not move on to the new asset? But again, with BTC is probably the cryptocurrency that can like understand it, really understand why they're doing that. But with the other ones, I agree, it's probably really, really ridiculous. And I mean, companies are not like trading companies. Like look at a company like
Yes.
Palantir. Palantir, yes, Palantir is holding or was holding billions in US Treasury, or like 1.5 billion or so. But they also notably bought 50 mil worth of gold to hedge against black swan events and sold it like 2 years later for 51 million. Obviously, gold has been rallying after that. So they're not like really trading companies. The only argument that you could make for BTC, if you really think this is the future of finance, two more things to point out from the YouTube comments. Marco Polo is saying TradFi is now over leveraging their balance sheets with the shiny toy they're finally allowed to play with. And eBrink is asking, is Tesla the only thriving company to hold BTC? That I wouldn't say is the case. You have, I mean, if I look at the Bitcoin treasuries list, you have Galaxy Digital, you have Coinbase, obviously, you have the Bitcoin Group, you have
The modern market.
the Modern Market. You have quite a few other companies that are not necessarily Bitcoin related that are doing well. Rumble, also holding 211 Bitcoin apparently, that do hold have some sort. Nexon, the gaming company, holds 1,700 Bitcoin apparently. So you do have successful companies holding Bitcoin, not only Tesla.
Sure, but I think the point being is that some of these companies are raising to buy the Bitcoin, whereas I think Tesla just bought some off the balance sheet.
Yeah, and Nexon certainly wasn't raising to buy BTC.
Okay, interesting conversation. I want to give some more thought to that. I think just the velocity with which these treasury companies are coming in is something I'm going to be reflecting on as the summer goes on. I think we're fine for now, but yeah, real eyes open with this stuff as the IPO season kind of kicks off more in the next few months, I think, to decide what goes on towards the end of the year, in my opinion. Also midterms coming, right? For Trump at some point. I think that's in the same way we called inauguration as like a day to be aware of. I think midterms is also a similar style of event and will be very important in assessing this as well. Look, that is that. Let's get to the final headline to get you up to speed on a kind of different article. Just checking in on the commercial side of things. We had the news that Ledger landed their first sports jersey sponsorship with NBA San Antonio Spurs, maybe linking to what we've just been talking about. Historically, when big crypto companies make big sporting partnerships, it doesn't necessarily go very well for the market thereafter. But in this case, crypto wallet firm Ledger's landed its first professional sports uniform sponsorship with San Antonio Spurs in a multi-year agreement. The Paris-based firm's logo patch will adorn the team's jersey this week during the NBA draft. On the commercial side, they're going to be helping Ledger onboard the next generation of sovereign individuals. Interesting connection here. The Spurs have had at least two legendary French players lead the franchise, Tony Parker and Victor Wembanyama. So a bit of a French connection there with the French company. It's kind of cool. They'll be taking an active role in the Spurs' ongoing community efforts in Paris too. So I found that interesting on the commercial side. But maybe the other question here, Ledge, kind of leading from the things we were just talking about, is we've seen some big partnerships before. FTX partnering with one of those stadiums in Miami. Got Crypto.com sponsoring a stadium on the West Coast, I believe. Any thoughts here on Ledger going for the sports sponsorship?
I think might be a good indicator if these spendings get ridiculous. I think last cycle Crypto.com, how much did they pay for the Crypto.com arena? What was that? Crypto.com arena. That was a ridiculous amount that they paid for that. Let me see if I can quickly find that. No, I can't find at the moment. But yeah, I have no idea like how much this Ledger Spurs deal is. It's not something I would worry about. Not something that I find weird. It's quite natural, I guess. The thing that I found weirder was 10 days ago. Where is it? This one, US Army and Coinbase. That is somehow has a weird look to it. I don't know, but not really worried about the sports sponsorship.
Yeah, and to be honest, I actually think it's completely fine. I think the regulatory shift has meant that a lot of this stuff's going to be way more normalized. Yes, crypto companies are going to sponsor the army. Yes, they're going to sponsor sport teams. Yes, they're going to sponsor things at the theater, film, everything. I think it's going to be completely ubiquitous. Banks sponsor all kinds of things. Crypto companies will similarly sponsor all kinds of things too. I think it's going to be completely fine, completely normalized. It's no longer a top signal, in my opinion, because the whole industry has been accepted and kind of normalized. And so it's just going to be routine business moving forward. Brett, give us a final take here.
One quick sentence before we go to Brett, because I found the number. Crypto.com Arena was 700 mil over 20 years too, for the naming rights, which made it the most expensive naming rights contract in history.
Like it. Brett?
That's what I was going to say. Wrap us up.
There we go. Okay, great show, guys. Hope you enjoyed it as usual. We run this every single day, not including Saturday and Sunday. We go live at 7 a.m. Eastern time. We do that for 1 hour. And you can get us live on X, YouTube, and you can catch us on Spotify and Apple if you prefer to catch us up on that way. Thank you so much for joining us as usual. Thank you to my co-hosts, Legendary and Brett. We'll be back again with you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Take care, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.